It's a pleasure to be with you. The title of this talk is Boundary Spanning Leadership and the Great Divide, Session 4. There are no disclosures for this presentation. Objectives include review a few research studies that inform the concept of great divides between groups, discuss the importance of allowing group processes to succeed or fail, discuss the importance of cultural diversity training for boundary spanning groups, review the negative impact of great divides on intergroup interactions, discuss the 4 major triggers of great divides, review why leaders fail to act to prevent great divides, review a trigger heat index tool, and emphasize the importance of leader mentoring to enhance boundary spanning leaders' judgment. For 3 weeks in June 1954, 22 11-year-old boys were dropped off by their parents at Robbers Cave State Park for a camping experience. Robbers Cave is located in a heavily wooded area of the San Bois Mountains in Oklahoma. The boys were actually there for more than a summer camp, but also as participants of a psychology study of group dynamics. They were divided into 2 groups, each assigned to a different bunkhouse for 3 weeks. The bunkhouses were far enough apart that neither group knew the other existed for the first week. During that first week, each group spent time getting to know their bunkmates. They did the usual camp activities, eating together, swimming, hiking, playing games, etc. Friendships formed, and the groups quickly began to act like a cohesive group, making group versus individual decisions. Each bunkhouse adopted a group name. One was called the Eagles and the other the Rattlers. Eventually, the groups became aware of the other bunkhouse as counselors brought them within earshot of each other. Immediately, each group assessed their group as better than the other group. This led to various spirited competitions in baseball, tent pitching, cabin inspections, tug of war, etc., but also led to worse behaviors like name calling, refusal to eat in the same cafeteria, cabin raids, and fistfights. Demographically, the groups were identical: race, religion, socioeconomic status, geographic region, etc. Yet they acted as though they had nothing in common. They splintered into a great divide. This psychological study was a test of a well-known theory, the contact hypothesis, which states that increasing contact between groups will reduce conflict, and the groups will begin to develop positive attitudes toward each other. The initial phase of the study accurately predicted what happened. Identity groups formed quickly by just staying in the same bunkhouse. The groups developed positive feelings toward their own group and even stronger negative feelings toward the other group that was exacerbated by intergroup competition. Why didn't increasing contact decrease conflict? Even having meals together, which was predicted to help the groups make peace, often deteriorated into food fights. The researchers learned that it takes more than just bringing groups together to enhance intergroup collaborations. As demonstrated in the Robbers Cave study, groups often look at group boundaries as necessary borders, separating us from them, creating a great divide as represented by this picture of the Grand Canyon. This great divide is often associated with a lack of trust, little respect for the other group, sense of no common purpose or goals, concern about perceived threats, and no bidirectional ownership. This great divide limits creativity, innovation, and change, ignoring collaborative and partnership opportunities that can transform organizational outcomes for both groups. When groups divide into us and them, the energy between groups is spent on conflict and counterproductive behaviors versus innovative collaborations. In these situations, identity differences become so divisive that groups exert almost all of their energy on destructive behaviors. Valuable resources are wasted on conflict versus productive work. This was obvious in the initial results from the Robbers Cave study. The Center for Creative Leadership's Leadership Across Differences, LAD, research project demonstrated some interesting observations and conclusions about intergroup interactions. When groups have a history of competition and conflict, just bringing them together can result in great divide issues, including reduced innovation and creativity, relationship and partnership failures, reduced problem-solving capacity, enhanced intergroup conflict, disengagement, intergroup distrust, and as might be expected, reduced collaborative productivity. When groups feel threatened and are so focused on their differences that they fail to see common ground, schisms of us and them become more entrenched with each interaction. This was well demonstrated in the initial phase of the Robbers Cave study. Wherever energy is produced, including where groups collide, there are opportunities to harness it for creative work as we work together as groups, or allow it to escalate into an uncontrolled explosion between us and them, with results as listed on this slide. There is significant risk for destructive conflict and enhancement of the Great Divide between groups if these intergroup activities are not managed appropriately. Boundary-spanning leaders attempt to harness that energy for the common good of participating groups. Though a boundary-spanning leader has a lot of responsibility for how the intergroup process progresses, there are several aspects of intergroup interactions that are beyond the control of a boundary-spanning leader. The responsibility of the boundary-spanning leader is to adequately facilitate groups to own the process and outcomes. Boundary-spanning leaders should never accept responsibility for the actual outcome, since she or he only has control over facilitation techniques, but not the ultimate decision of the groups to work together. As I think back on my life, I've learned more from my failures than my successes. That is also true of community engagement and boundary-spanning groups. There is no way a leader in and of themselves can guarantee success. Community engagement and boundary spanning provides groups an opportunity to succeed, but also an opportunity to fail. Failures should be viewed as opportunities for improvement, a time to evaluate or assess what didn't work, to create a new plan to address the areas of failure or things that didn't work as expected, and to implement or test a new plan, a quality improvement process. That process, if adhered to, will eventually result in success. If a failure results in parties walking away, it likely means they were not adequately committed to boundary-spanning work and opportunities in the first place. Intergroup divides are often associated with distrust groups have for one another. Distrust is enhanced when there is a history of intergroup conflict. It's also experienced when groups have significant differences in beliefs and values. Distrust must be addressed early in the group process. If significant intergroup differences in beliefs and values are identified, cultural diversity training may be necessary before continuing the boundary spanning process. There are many aspects of diversity training, but cultural competence is extremely important, particularly when working across groups that have significant differences in beliefs and values. Cultural competence is difficult to learn since it challenges people to see how other cultures view the world around them. The world is composed of thousands of cultures and subcultures, each unique with a different set of deep beliefs and values. True cultural competence not only is an issue of cross-cultural knowledge, but demands tolerance. Tolerance is difficult, since all cultures are convinced that their beliefs and values are the correct ones, and anyone with different beliefs and values are wrong. This slide lists 7 essential topics to address in basic cultural competence training. 1. Beliefs and worldview, including a culture's beliefs about human beings, the supernatural, the environment, and time, past, present, future. Many worldviews are fatalistic versus the common Western belief that people are in charge of their fate. 2. Communication styles. People have different ways of communicating. Western cultures tend to be more direct, saying what they mean. Most other cultures use indirect communications, seemingly skirting issues which can seem confusing or even misleading to a Westerner. 3. Formality. Cultures vary greatly in greetings, manners, etiquette, etc. In the United States, people tend to be casual, both in dress and behavior. In most other cultures, formality is highly valued and a sign of respect. 4. Hierarchy relates to horizontal or vertical cultural orientations. Western cultures tend to be more egalitarian, yet in many Asian, Latin American, and Mid-Eastern cultures, hierarchy with strong leadership is comfortable and expected. 5. Time perceptions. People differ greatly in their perceptions of time. Americans tend to view time as short-term or fixed. Many other cultures express a long-term orientation with flexible dates and timelines. 6. Values and priorities. In North American cultures, there is a greater emphasis on individuals versus the group. In Asia and Latin cultures, there is a greater emphasis on the group, loyalty to the organization and leadership, and importance of relationships, etc. 7. Uniqueness. In all cultures, individual people are unique. No one follows all the cultural guidelines. In cultural competency, it's important to emphasize the importance of not stereotyping people. Treat individuals as you would want to be treated. As our world becomes ever more interconnected, cultural competence is an essential skill for almost every workplace and organization, and is absolutely essential in the boundary spanning group process. Additional discussion of cultural diversity will be covered in other sessions of the North Dakota Public Health Training Network. A brief discussion of the cultural egg diagram seems appropriate here. This is adapted from G. Linwood Barney's Layers of Culture. The yellow arrow represents the concept that our behaviors result from deeper cultural influences. At the very center of this cultural egg rests our worldview or deep beliefs. These deep beliefs can be divided into 4 major categories. Our beliefs about ourselves as human beings, nature, the supernatural and time, the past, present, and future. These core beliefs or worldviews then inform our values, the next layer of the cultural egg. These are the things we feel are important. These deep beliefs and values then set the base for the way we do things, our institutions, including how we marry, how we educate our children, how we enforce our laws, how we govern ourselves, how we run our businesses and organizations, etc. Finally, all of those deeper layers emerge as our individual and organizational behaviors. Group differences in the deeper layers of culture, things deeply believed in, and a group's values that are based on those beliefs, as might be expected, are associated with more intergroup distrust than differences in the way things are done, the more superficial manifestations of beliefs and values, the layers of institutions and behaviors. Leadership Across Differences, LAD research, has identified 4 major triggers that preceded many, if not most, great divides encountered in boundary-spanning work, including breach, sideswipe, submersion, and clash. The next 4 slides briefly describe these triggers. Breach was the most common trigger identified in LAD research. Breach is associated with groups that perceive they are being treated differently. They perceive that various rewards, punishments, promotions, resource allocations, etc., were applied inequitably to one group versus others. This perception results in an in-group and out-group situation. In-groups and out-groups commonly interpret these situations differently. Out-groups interpret these actions negatively as favoritism and bias and feel that they are not being valued as much as other groups in the organization. In-groups interpret the same actions positively as demonstrating loyalty. In these situations, group interactions often enhance differences and expand the division between the groups. This is a difficult situation for leaders since they are essentially stuck in the middle. Whatever they do, their actions will likely be perceived as a breach by one group or another. Sideswipe occurs when groups scrape past each other, with the resulting friction causing serious damage. One group offends, insults, or humiliates another group, sometimes inadvertently, and at other times as a deliberate attempt to offend or demean. A sideswipe can begin with 2 people and escalate as others from their respective groups engage in the conflict. Submersion is the 3rd trigger. Submersion occurs when one group is expected to assimilate and act like another group, essentially being asked to change their identity. Identity is associated with many factors, including cultural dimensions, class status and roles, and community memberships. The 7 cultural dimensions that define cultural distance include 1. Worldview or deep beliefs that inform the way a culture or a group perceives the world around them. 2. Cognitive processes or ways of thinking. 3. Linguistic forms or ways of expressing ideas. 4. Behavioral patterns or ways of acting. 5. Social structures or ways of interacting and relationships. 6. Media influence or ways of channeling messages. And 7. Motivational resources or ways of deciding. Many of these identity factors are not readily changed or relinquished. This is particularly true of our worldview or deep beliefs and values, as previously mentioned. When pushed to give up or change these deep beliefs and values, groups will fight back vigorously. As with the breach trigger, a submersion situation may be perceived differently by each group. Further discussion of identity factors are covered in other sessions of the North Dakota Public Health Training Network. The 4th trigger is clash. Clash occurs when group boundaries collide. Like the trigger of submersion, severe clashes generally occur when groups have significant differences in deep beliefs or worldviews and values. As previously discussed, all cultures believe that their beliefs and values are right, and anyone who has different beliefs and values are wrong. Neither group will flex or bend from their position, creating a great divide. The collision may be around various beliefs like religion, morality, politics, race, gender, etc. So why do leaders fail to act when they see these triggers in their organization or in boundary-spanning groups? If not managed well, with continued interaction, these groups will pull further apart, causing great divides and can even destroy the collaborative or the organization. LAD research identified 4 reasons that leaders fail to act when encountering these triggers, including 1. Fear of drawing attention to and intensifying the conflict. 2. The belief that time will resolve the issue. Ignoring these triggers of intergroup division will not make them go away. These triggers require proactive interventions. 3. Misinterpreting the early ominous signs of division. Great divides start as small cracks and slowly progress to major problems. It's like a frog in a pot of water on the stove. He doesn't recognize the danger as the heat slowly rises until it's too late. Once a great divide emerges, in-group members cloister and discount ideas and opinions of out-group members, destroying opportunities for intergroup creativity and innovation. It is very difficult, if not impossible, to solve many great divides between groups. 4. Leaders don't know what to do. It's important for leaders, particularly boundary-spanning leaders, to continually evaluate the heat generated by the interaction of groups. How much negative and positive energy is being generated by group interactions? Is it possible to harness this energy for intergroup innovation and creativity? In some cases, the potential for a great divide is so prevalent that intergroup work is not possible. In these cases, the groups should work independently. The following tables were adapted from Center for Creative Leadership work to help boundary-spanning leaders determine the amount of heat or negative energy that would likely be generated as groups interact. The more yeses, the greater the risk of great divides between groups. Main breach questions to consider include: does a group perceive they were treated badly compared to other groups? Perceive a behavior as favoritism while others perceive it as loyalty? That they have limited access to opportunities? That they face barriers to advancement due to their identity? That they perceive bias? That they perceive inequitable rewards, punishments, benefits, or opportunities? That they lack a voice or input? The main sideswipe question is, does a group perceive or feel they were insulted, demeaned, left out, hurt, or offended by another group? Submersion questions include: does a group perceive that they must give up their identity or be expected to act like another group to be a part of the intergroup or organization? Perceive that other groups don't want to be a part of the intergroup or organization with them? That they can't do things differently than they currently do them? That they perceive a threat from other groups? That they will lose their status? Or that they can't express their beliefs and values? Clash questions include: does a group perceive they have significantly different and colliding beliefs and values from other groups? That they are viewed by other groups as wrong or abnormal? That they cannot compromise with other groups because of their beliefs and values? The more yeses to these questions, the greater the risk of great divides through group interaction. The boundary-spanning leader must make a judgment call on the benefits versus the risks of group interaction. Personally, I feel that groups identifying with yeses associated with significant differences in beliefs and values, changes of identity, and rigidity or inflexibility would be at greatest risk of great divides? These questions fall into the submersion and clash trigger categories and are highlighted on this slide. Other yeses can potentially be addressed through appropriate facilitation of groups by a boundary spanning leader, though it is still a matter of judgment. A new boundary spanning leader would benefit from the mentoring of experienced boundary spanners to develop this judgment. Like other clinical disciplines, boundary spanning leadership expertise comes from two different sources: didactic knowledge and experience. Experience and judgment in clinical settings is developed in the mentoring process of a clinical residency and/or fellowship. Boundary spanning experience and judgment can greatly benefit from leadership mentoring programs. Remember, the most common trigger of great divides is the breach, fortunately not submersion or clash. Submersion or clash triggers are more likely associated with differences in beliefs and values, changes of identity, and rigidity or inflexibility. So can divides be bridged? Let's go back to the Robbers Cave situation and the divide between the Rattlers and Eagles bunkhouse groups. Situations were created that forced the two groups to work together for the common good. The study leaders sabotaged the water system, forcing the boys to fix it. The food truck was disabled, and the boys needed to work together to fix that also. These adaptive problems were only solved by the Rattlers and Eagles working together. No one else was stepping in to help. They needed to own and solve their problems, the basis of true community engagement and boundary spanning leadership. While working on these significant adaptive problems, positive relationships quickly developed between members of the groups. A new collaborative intergroup identity emerged. When the camp experience was over, close cross-group friendships had developed. This can happen not only with groups of 11-year-old boys, but also with other groups that are experiencing the triggers of divide. Boundary spanning leaders don't need to create problems like the Robbers Cave study leaders, but they do need to identify existing problems in the area of boundary overlap, the common goals of interest for all collaborating groups. For the Eagles and Rattlers, that area of goal overlap was fixing the water system and truck. Boundary spanning leaders facilitate group processes, providing the opportunity for groups to work together for their common good. In summary, great divides can destroy intergroup interactions and prevent collaborative innovation and creativity. There are four major triggers for great divides: breach, sideswipe, submersion, and clash. Detecting and intervening early when division warning signs are noticed can prevent catastrophes. Ignoring division warning signs signals leadership failure or inexperience. When working with boundary spanning groups, utilize the trigger heat index and good judgment.